Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host. Sweet vindication. Oh boy, was Miami's victory over the New England Patriots in Foxborough pretty? Not by a long shot. Is there more meat on the bone for this club? Absolutely. But as the saying goes, a win's a win. On today's episode of the PhinsPod, we're going to take a deeper look at the game. We're going to gloat just a little bit, and we are finally able to talk football. Let's get to it, and let's dive in.
Impressed a lot of people around the league, and he's picking up right where he left off.
Second down one, but fake, and here comes the easy rock into the end zone. Tunnel by Loa. A 3-yard touchdown run. Tua back in. Ninth play of the drive. On the move is Waddle. Tua. Waddle to the pylon. Touchdown!
Brian Flores is now 3-2 against Bill Belichick. How'd you like dem apples? What's even sweeter? Tua, the much-maligned quarterback, and we'll get to his performance later in the show, but the 23-year-old is 2-0, undefeated against Bill and the Patriots. How dope is that? The Dolphins escaped Gillette Stadium with a 17-16 win. It wasn't pretty, and I do think escape is the right word, but as seems to be the trend for this team under Brian Flores, the game was won by the defense. Not only did they force 2 fumbles, they fared far better against the run than I thought they would. And just to get this out of the way, I know ESPN's been doing it all day, but Mac Jones looked good. We said he would in last week's show. He got the ball out of his hands quickly, he made the right read, and delivered accurate passes in an offense that was catered for him. I think he's going to be an issue down the line. Not now, and hell, maybe not for another season or two, but he showed poise and some promise. To be fair, it's going to be interesting to see how he looks once NFL defenses use the film against him, pick apart his tendencies, and learn how to attack him. But to his credit, he performed against our stout defense, and that's what we were on Sunday night. Stout. Bend, but don't break. Forcing the Patriots to kick field goal after field goal. And in the NFL, if you continuously settle for 3 points, you're going to lose ball games. Overall, Miami's run defense did well against Damian Harris. I mean, not great. He did rush for 100 yards on 23 carries, but he did have the game-losing fumble. So yes, was it annoying to see our run defense get carved up on occasion? Absolutely. But it's important to have some perspective here. Aside from maybe the Titans and the Ravens, although they've lost everyone, the Pats' rushing attack and their offensive line is the best one that this Dolphins defense is going to face. We got a hard one out of the way, at least from a defensive front perspective, a run defense perspective. I don't mean we won't be playing more dynamic quarterbacks. We absolutely will. Next week, we got Josh Allen. Mac is far from a finished product. My main concern, though, going into this season for this defense was how they would handle the run. And if my voice is a little off, it's because I was screaming like a little girl yesterday, so excuse me. If the Dolphins defense got sliced up consistently, then we'd be in for a long season. Our secondary is loaded, and Javon Holland looked good running around out there, as did Jason McCourty. I have to give McCourty credit. I thought he was way more washed than he showed himself to be. Teams with dominant offensive lines and aggressive run schemes give this defense trouble, at least last season. The fact that this team showed grit and toughness in the trenches, even after losing Raekwon Davis for a little, is a great sign. The secondary did well. They prevented a lot of deeper to intermediate throws and forced Mac to routinely take the underneath man. Even when he did have time, he wasn't really able to take any deep shots. And we're going to talk about some studs and some duds in this game for the Dolphins defense. Moving on to the studs, stud number 1, Xavier Howard. I mean, what more can you say about the guy? Played tight all day, continuing to show out in coverage, and what's more, he made the game-saving play by forcing the ball out while the Patriots were driving to take the lead. If he doesn't make that play, we potentially lose the game. Although Tua would have had an opportunity to drive down the field for the win, we were robbed of seeing that, but I'm okay with it, because a win's a win. X is our first stud for the defense. Our first dud, Christian Wilkins. Look, none of these duds really had a totally bad day, but Wilkins gets pushed back way too much when double-teamed. He doesn't hold his ground and allows for more yardage to be gained by the back on run plays. It's something that needs to improve. But aside from those few plays, he was able to get off blocks and help bring down the carrier on multiple occasions. Our second stud, Emmanuel Ogbah. Ogbah had a great game, and yes, he wasn't able to record a sack, but he was pushing into Mac Jones's face, and he had that pivotal pass knockdown on third down near the red zone. Ogba looked great against the run as well, so it's good to see one of our defensive standouts from a season ago continue his stellar play. Our second dud, Jerome Baker. Baker made plays and was all over the field, so again, he wasn't completely bad. It's just that, again, he got burned a couple times in coverage, and worst of all, his recognition in the running game still needs work. He either finds the hole too late when trying to plug a gap, or he isn't able to get to his spot because he's being washed down and out by a blocker. It comes with the territory, given his size, and he was, again, a presence when blitzing, but it's something I want to see improve as the season goes along. The amount that we saw Sam McGuavin out there, I think, shows you how Jerome Baker and him are both going to be utilized in this defense. Our final stud on the defense, Adam Butler. Honestly, throw John Jenkins in there. These two were asked to step up in a big way once Raekwon went down. Although he did come back in, both Butler, the former Patriot, and Jenkins played very well against the run. Neither were able to get any penetration when Mac was sitting back there to pass, but they were definitely disruptive in run defense. Our final dud is a guy who didn't even suit up, Noah Igbenogany. And when I saw he was a healthy scratch, I scratched my head. That pick is not looking great right now, and unless they have a plan for him or he puts it together soon, we may have to call that one a miss. Overall, considering the stakes, week 1, hostile environment against a division rival, being able to weather the storm against a Hall of Fame head coach who had all offseason to prep for you while also being able to unveil his new quarterback with no NFL tape on him, coming out of Foxborough with a win is no easy task. But the defense generally executed, made the plays when it mattered, and got the win for the team. The game would not have been that close if, and it's a big if, the Dolphins' offense played well. Although they had flashes of what could be coming down the road, they were never able to string it together consistently. They started fast, scoring on both their opening drive and the first drive coming out of the half, but those were their only 2 touchdowns of the game. Let's talk about how Tua looked, and I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed. I was really hoping for the Dolphins to come out firing and throwing the ball downfield, attacking the middle of the Patriots' defense, trying to expose certain mismatches, but give credit to the Pats, they played tough. Tua needs to be better. He by no means shut the haters up, but again, a win's a win. We're 1-0, and Tua is 2-0 against the Patriots. Life is good. His numbers, 16 of 27, 202 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 on the ground, as well as an interception. Nothing to write home about. He wasn't as efficient on third downs as you would like to see, and he was inaccurate on a few important passes, mainly the interception. To be fair, there were a few crucial drops and bad penalties which stalled drives as well. I do believe this is going to be the worst game that we see Tua play all year, and if that's the case, we're in for a good season. As he gets more familiar with George Godsey and Godsey gets more familiar with him, they get into a nice rhythm. I expect a jump in his performance. His interception was bad. It's a play he can't continue to make. Look, I appreciate that he's trying to make something happen, but first, that's how you get hurt, and second, this is the NFL. Off script is hard to do. Sometimes it's best to just eat it and take the L on the down. Survive for the next play. Next week, going up against Josh Allen and the Bills, it's going to be important that Tua doesn't make those mistakes and he brings his A game. I'm pleased overall because, look, he didn't play badly. He led us to a win, and that's what matters at the end of the day. He now moves to 7-3 as a starting quarterback in the NFL. The running game was surprisingly more effective than I thought it would be. Give this offensive line credit. They were able to make some holes and spring a few big ones for Myles Gaskin. Gaskin led all Dolphins rushers with 49 yards on 9 carries, a 5.4 yards per attempt average. The team just didn't stick with the run long enough and seemed to abandon it earlier than they needed to. They would revert to passing often, but it was nice to see this offensive line, with a rookie left tackle, showing well in the run game. And speaking of a rookie left tackle, I know Eichenberg had a couple rough snaps, but all things considered, bravo, young man. Never practiced at left tackle, didn't have any snaps in the preseason there, and started an NFL game. Take the job and never look back, or kick over to right tackle, replace Jesse Davis, and allow Austin Jackson to continue developing on the left side. The interior of the line played really well. Give Michael Dieter some love at center. He looked good, as did Robert Hunt and Solomon Kindley, all things considered. The receiving corps also left plenty out there as well. After a ton of buzz in camp, Albert Wilson was nowhere to be seen, nor was Mike Gesicki, although I think Gesicki was schemed out of the game plan by Bill and the Patriots. You want to see some better play from those two in the coming weeks, but who we need to talk about, two guys I think who played extremely well, Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle. Starting with Devontae. Damn, man. In a rough season for the Dolphins in 2019, Parker showed true number one wide receiver potential. People didn't take it seriously because, hey, the Dolphins were bad. Last season, with a rookie quarterback, he played well, but his numbers dipped. He made a case once again on Sunday for why he should be considered a top 15 receiver in the game. He led all receivers with 4 receptions for 81 yards, including a big 30-yard pass down the sideline from Tua. With Will Fuller coming back next week, even more should open up for number 11. The rookie Jalen Waddle, he's going to be a problem. I love how Miami was utilizing him. I mean, damn, you take him 6th overall, it only makes sense that you actually implement him in your offense. He finished the game 4 receptions, 61 yards, and a touchdown. The best part, his average yards per catch, 15.2 yards. Screw this dink and dunk shit. Waddle was brought in here for a reason, and it looks like it might pay off. The offense played what I hope to be their worst game of the year. Inconsistent line play, inconsistent play from Tua, and a lack of separation at times against the solid secondary. Going forward, for this team to have a chance to really compete, and I mean really compete, they have to be more potent and put more points up on the board. I think it's coming, and nothing I saw on Sunday has made me feel that down about the projection of this team. We'd just like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor of the show, MyBookie. MyBookie is always the right play. You bet, you win, they pay. MyBookie has live in-game betting on every NFL game. They've got the most rewarding player perks in the business. And for you fantasy guys out there, you can even bet the over-under on how many fantasy points a player will score each game. To help yourselves out as well as the show, use our promo code PhinsPod to get up to $1,000 first deposit bonus to double your first deposit. Again, that's promo code PhinsPod to activate the offer. Visit MyBookie online with the link in our bio or visit mybookie.ag, and don't forget to use the promo code PhinsPod when creating your account to claim the bonus. Bet, win, get paid, MyBookie. Moving on to our offensive studs and duds, starting with our first stud, Devontae Parker. Like we said earlier, he had perhaps the best game for a Dolphins offensive player, finishing with 81 yards and moving the chains in some big spots. His RPO slants were key plays in this game, and I hope to see the Dolphins continue to utilize that, considering Tua does it well, and Parker's ability to gallop down the field with those long strides lets him eat up yards quickly. So let's just stay healthy, my guy, and he's in for a big year. Our first dud, Mike Gesicki. Look, I'm not sure if you had him on your fantasy squad like I did. What a bad move. Yeah, the Pats schemed him out, but still, if you're truly elite, which we've been saying all offseason, he's gonna be, you got to find a way to get open and make a play. He didn't do enough of that. His one catch was called back due to a penalty by Solomon Kindley, but aside from that, he wasn't a factor. Durham Smythe was more effective overall, and you hope to see more from Gesicki next week, because again, facing the Bills means we have to put up points. Gesicki helps with that. Our second stud, Michael Dieter. Yep, I said it. Dieter looked great at times. He showed agility, an ability to get to the second level, and he had perfect snaps throughout the game. We touched on this over the past few weeks, but if Dieter takes hold of this job and becomes Miami's starting center of the future, kudos to him and his hard work, as well as this coaching staff. Showing an ability to mold and develop a young raw player only bodes well for the young depth on this team and the future of the roster. Love to see it. Our second dud was Tua Tagovailoa. He didn't play bad. I feel like that does need to be stated. He's getting enough harsh criticism as it is, but damn, give Tua and the Pats' offensive line and run game and then see who would have won this game. But he needs to be able to elevate this team with what he has and move the ball up and down the field no matter the circumstances. Too often he held on to the ball when he should have let it go, but again, he's feeling it out and he's winning while doing it. The same can't be said for other young developing quarterbacks. If he's going to have the same season that some of us fans expect him to have, he must play a better game at home next weekend. Our final stud on the offensive side of the ball was Myles Gaskin. People have been clamoring for Miami to invest in a running back all offseason, whether it was draft Najee Harris or sign a veteran free agent. People felt like this room needed work. I said it then and I'll say it now. Our starting running back is on the squad, and he's damn good at what he does. Myles Gaskin averaged almost 5.5 yards per carry. Awesome. He was also a factor in the receiving game as he hauled in a few key receptions to make second and long third downs more manageable. Savon Ahmed had a good reception as well, but Miles proved once again that he can carry the bulk of the load in the running game. Love his game overall, and I'm excited to see what he can do once things open up a bit more for this unit. And again, the return of Will Fuller will definitely do that as well. And lastly, the third and final dud of Sunday's game offensively, Jesse Davis. Look, I respect him for what he does. Glad he's on our team in general, but the role I want him serving is depth. He's slow, gets beat inside often, and doesn't provide much push in the run game. In my ideal world, we talked about this earlier, Austin Jackson comes back as an improved player at left tackle, and eventually Liam Eichenberg, who looked good for having his first ever start, can kick out to the right tackle spot and secure to his blind side. That's my hope, because Jesse Davis needs to get back to a reserve role, in my opinion. He is today's final dud. I mean, look, week 1 is always wild. It's a strange week. Good teams lose, bad teams win, everything in between. Division rivals play tight and conservative, and ultimately it comes down to just a handful of plays when determining the winner. Speaking of those handful of plays, that roughing the passer call against the Landon Roberts, the call which gave New England their only touchdown of the game, look, I understand that's the rule. I just think it's a dumb rule. I get diving at the knees. I still think that should be a penalty. But tackling the legs, he freaking tackles him. What else do you want? Also, Tua had a few key passes which were dropped. Specifically, the one I'm mentioning is that out route to Waddle on third down. That was a moment in the game where a score could have put Miami ahead even more and really changed the complexion of how the second half played out. You have to have that. He dropped that at Patriots' 40-yard line, so we would have been in great position and been able to keep the drive going. We're gonna be playing better teams than New England, so you have to capitalize on offense when given opportunities, and this defense will give you opportunities. We'll be having daily episodes this week as well, so be sure to subscribe to get all the latest info on your Miami Dolphins. After rewatching the games a few times, I'm sure more is going to pop out, and of course, we'll be looking ahead to next week's game at home against the Buffalo Bills, who are 0-1 with a loss to the Steelers. Fins Nation, look at us. We're 1-0. Leading the AFC East. We've been harping on it for months now, and it was great to be vindicated by what this team is doing. The direction that Flores has taken us and is going to continue to take us is a winning one. When was the last time we could say that? It wasn't pretty, far too close for my comfort, but at the end of the day, teams have to find a way to win. That's what good teams do, find a way to win. We did it last season at a pretty high level, winning 10 games, and now we're 1 for 1, looking for more. I'm so excited for this season, and all things considered, you couldn't really have asked for a better start. A road victory in New England, spoiling the Patriots' home opener, as well as everyone's wet dream about Mac Jones. Like I've said before, fuck Bill and fuck the Patriots. We see them again in the final week of the season, Week 18. We will be playing a completely different quarterback in Mac Jones, who's going to have a season's worth of experience if he can stay healthy, so it will definitely be a tougher matchup, but the same can also be said for them. They're going to be facing a more refined and seasoned Tua, and I don't know about you, but they definitely got the shit end of that bargain. Fins up.
Well, Tua, congratulations on a hard-fought win. 1-0 to start the season on the road in front of a sold-out Gillette Stadium. To get a test like that in your first game of the season and come out on top, what did that say about your team today?
It said a lot. I think us playing complementary football was the biggest thing coming into this game, and that's kind of what the emphasis with Coach Flores was throughout the week for all our guys. The defense complementing the offense complementing the defense, and then special teams as well. I think the defense did a great job getting us the ball back.
Yeah.
We got to execute on those opportunities, but we got away with this one. So.
Yeah, the takeaway streak stays alive. So much this week was made of the matchup between you and Mac Jones as former teammates. How were you able to sort of keep that out of your head this week and stay focused on the game?
Well, I think as competitors, you're really not playing against each other. You're playing against, his defense and our defense. And that's really the focus every time you go out there. You're focused on plays that you think you can execute against their team.
That's going to do it for us here today. Thank you guys so much for listening to the PhinsPod. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you to Timothy Ritchie and Brian Guger, members of the pod and supporters of the show over on Patreon. Check that out. Links in the description, or head to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the continued support, and please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show, subscribe, just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the show is available on all platforms. Listen via Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. And if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, we'd greatly appreciate a review. It will help other Dolphins fans find the pod. And of course, you can also watch the show on YouTube. Continue the conversation with us over on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod. I hope you all have an amazing day. Enjoy your victory week. And until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.